Hello dear students, in this small lecture we will see the problems based on the Woodward-Fieger rules for diene and enone compounds. If the structure is given, then by applying the Woodward-Fieger rules we can easily calculate lambda max value for the diene and enone compounds. In the exam, the structure of the compound is given and you have to calculate lambda max value by using Woodward-Fieger rules. In the last lecture, we have seen the details about the Woodward-Fieger rules and the terms and concepts involved in these rules. So now we will see the problems and how to calculate lambda max value using the Woodward-Fieger rules for diene and enone compounds. So this is the structure of the compound and we have to calculate lambda max value for this given structure. So first we have to identify the nature of the compound, whether it is cyclic or acyclic. Now we can easily identify it by looking at the structure of the compound. So this particular structure is acyclic. So there is no presence of ring, therefore it is acyclic. Then we have to take the basic value, that is 214 nanometer, that is for the acyclic diene. So we have taken here base value, that is 214 nanometer. After this we have to see whether there is a extra double bond, whether there are substituents, whether there is presence of exocyclic double bond. As exocyclic double bond is will be not there because it is acyclic, so only we have to look for alkyl substituents and other substituents, as well as if there is extra double bond. So for this we have to identify the conjugated system. We have to trace the conjugated system. So you can here see the conjugated system. It starts from this carbon and ends at this carbon. So this is our conjugated system. So we can trace the conjugated system. There is also one double bond, but this particular double bond is isolated double bond. Therefore, we will not consider this double bond for calculation. It is isolated double bond and it is not the part of conjugation. So after this, we will trace the conjugated system by pen. So this is our conjugated system. Entire conjugated system you have to trace. Okay. So this is our conjugated system. Now we can see the substituents. So first we will see the substituents. Now for this carbon, there is one substituent and it is the alkyl substituent. So methyl group is present over here. So it is one alkyl substituent. Then this is the also another substituent, alkyl substituent. And again you will identify here another substituent. So in this way there are three alkyl substituents. If you once know the conjugated system and conjugated carbons, then for every carbon you have to see whether there is presence of uh, substituent or not. So for this carbon you can see there is no substituent. Again for this carbon there is no substituent, but at this carbon there is a substituent, that is methyl substituent is present, and therefore one substituent for this carbon. And if you look at this carbon you will get this particular substituent. So this is also the alkyl substituent, and for this carbon there is a Br as a substituent. So this Br is also the substituent, and at the last carbon you will get this substituent, alkyl substituent. So looking at this structure you will get now three alkyl substituents and one Br substituent. Now for each alkyl substituent you have to add 5 nanometer. So 3 into 5, it will give 15 nanometer. And as there is presence of Br substituent, so you have to add 5 nanometer. Then the uh, we have to see extended conjugation. For this compound, there is only one extended conjugation. So this particular double bond is extra double bond, because two double bonds are considered as for here diene, that is for the parent diene compound, and we have taken the value 214 nanometer. Then the extra double bond, excluding the two double bonds of the diene, there is only one extra double bond. So only one extra double bond, that's why you have to add 30 nanometer. So 1 into 30, that gives the 30 nanometer. So these are the additions that we have to make to the basic value, and after this you will get the lambda max value. So the total sum of these increments, that is, it is 264 nanometer. So the lambda max value for this particular compound is 264 nanometer. So this is the second compound, and we have to calculate lambda max value for this given compound. Now in this compound there are three rings, one A, second B, and this one C, and these three rings are fused with each other. Now whenever such type of compound is there, and whenever there is a conjugated system, then we have to see whether it is homoannular diene or heteroannular diene. So looking at this compound, you can easily identify whether it is homoannular or heteroannular diene. So whenever the two double bonds that are present in the conjugation, if they are present in the same ring, it is homoannular diene. So you can see here two double bonds are present in the same ring A. Therefore, it is homoannular diene. But if you look at these two double bonds, one double bond is present in the ring A and the second double bond is present in the ring B. So these two conjugated double bonds are present in two different rings. Therefore, it is also the heteroannular diene. So we have to choose between the homoannular diene and heteroannular diene. So whenever such type of condition is there, that is both homoannular diene as well as heteroannular diene are present, then we have to go for homoannular diene. We have to choose the base value of the homoannular diene. So this is the largest value, and therefore we have to choose 253 nanometer for homoannular diene. So our base value for this compound is 253 nanometer. Then we have to locate the entire conjugated system. We have to trace the entire conjugated system. So we will see this. So it starts from this ring A like this, and it is extended over to the ring B. This is the last carbon. So there are three double bonds. They are in the conjugation, and thus we have traced the entire conjugated system. Then we have to look for the substituents, ring residues, extended conjugation, and exocyclic double bond. So first we will see the substituents or ring residues. So in this ring A, there is one alkyl substituent. This is also another ring residue. This is the third ring residue. So these three ring residues are present, and one alkyl substituent. So this one is the alkyl substituent. Then we have to see whether there is presence of extra double bond. So there is presence of one extra double bond. So this double bond is the extra double bond and extended conjugation, because we have taken the basic value, that is 253 nanometer for the homoannular diene. So this double bond is the extra double bond or extended conjugation. For this we have to add 30 nanometer here. Then three ring residues. So for each ring residue 5 nanometer. So thus you have to add 3 into 5, that is 15 nanometer to the base value. Then one alkyl substituent. So this one is the alkyl substituent. So for each alkyl substituent you have to add 5 nanometers. So 1 into 5, that will give 5 nanometer. Now we have to see the exocyclic double bond. So as per the rule, Exocyclic means outside the ring, the double bond which is outside the ring and which is directly attached to that ring. So here you can see the ring A, and we will see the outside of this ring. So there is a single bond, there is a single bond. So there is no exocyclic double bond with respect to ring A. Now looking at this ring B, you will find there is a single bond, and here you will get the double bond which is the part of the conjugation and which is outside the ring B and directly attached to the ring B. Therefore it is considered as a exocyclic double bond. So exocyclic double bond with respect to ring B, it is 1, and therefore you have to add 5 nanometer to the base value. So in this way you can find that there are 3 ring residues: 1, 2, 3, 3 into 5, 15 nanometer, 1 extra double bond, 30 nanometer, 1 alkyl substituent, so add 5 nanometer, and there is presence of 1 exocyclic double bond with respect to ring B, 1 into 5, that is 5 nanometer. So after addition of all these values, we will get the total, that is 308 nanometer. So the lambda max value for this particular compound is 308 nanometer. So now we are going to see the enone compounds. So this is an example of the enone compound. This is enone because the carbonyl group as well as double bond, alpha beta unsaturated double bond is present, and therefore this system is considered as a enone system or enone compound, and we have to calculate lambda max value for this particular compound. So when the structure is given, you have to give the positions, that is alpha, beta, gamma, delta. Now we know how to give the positions. The alpha carbon is that carbon which is next to the carbonyl carbon. So this is the carbonyl carbon, and this carbon is the alpha carbon because it is next to the carbonyl carbon. Alpha, then beta, then next is the gamma carbon, and this one is the delta carbon. So looking at the compound, you will find that it is the acyclic enone, and for acyclic enone, base value is 215 nanometer. So after that you have to look for substituents, alkyl substituents, and you have to see whether there is presence of extended conjugation, any extra double bond. So that we have to see by tracing the conjugated system. So here our conjugated system starts from this carbonyl group. Now it is quite larger long chain. So in this way, this is the entire conjugated system we have traced, we have located, and now we have to see alkyl substituents. So in this compound you will get the alkyl substituents at the position alpha. So there is one alkyl substituent at alpha position, beta there is no substituent, gamma there is no substituent, but at delta you will find one alkyl substituent. So according to the positions, you have now one alkyl substituent at alpha position, and according to Woodward-Fieser rules, you have to add 10 nanometer for this alpha position substituent. If the alkyl substituent is present at the delta position, then you have to add 18 nanometer. Now we will see for the, or we will look for the extended conjugation. So the extended conjugation for this enone, you will get here two extra double bonds. So this double bond as well as this double bond, these are the extra double bonds. Now this is our the basic, this one is our basic enone system, and the carbonyl group here is not considered as your extra double bond, remember this. And also we will not consider the substituent present at the carbonyl carbon. We will see only the substituents present at the double bonded carbons. So these are the double bonded carbons, and this carbonyl group is there, but we will not consider this as a substituent. So substituents here starts from the alpha, beta, gamma and delta double bonded carbon. So remember this. So these two extra double bonds are there, and for one extra double bond you have to add 30 nanometer. So as there is a presence of two extra double bonds, so 2 into 30 it will give 60 nanometer. Then the alpha position substituent 10, delta position substituent 18 nanometer. After the addition of all these values, you will get here 303 nanometer lambda max value. So for this enone compound, you will get lambda max value, that is 303 nanometer. So in this way, we can calculate the lambda max value using the Woodward-Fieger rules for enone compounds. So remember, the Woodward-Fieger rules are different for diene as well as enone compounds. Whenever the enone compound is given, you have to see the Woodward-Fieger rules according to that. That is, if enone is given, then you have to uh, see the Woodward-Fieger rules given for the enone compounds only, and not for the dienes. Whenever the diene compound is given, you have to see the Woodward-Fieger rules given for the diene compounds. So this one is the last compound that we are going to see. Now it is the cyclic compound, and it is the cyclic enone. So first we have to determine the basic lambda basic value or parent value, and this value is according to the nature of the cyclic compound. So as this cyclic compound is the hexacyclic, that is 6-membered ring is present, and the enone is present in that 6-membered ring, therefore you have to take the base value, that is 215 nanometer. So your base value for this compound is 215 nanometer according to the Woodward-Fieger rules. Then we have to see the extended conjugations, ring residues, substituents, or exocyclic double bond and homodiene component. So for this, first we have to locate the entire conjugated system and the double bonds present in that conjugated system. So this is our entire enone conjugated system. This enone system is present in the two rings, that is A and B. Okay. Now we will see the ring residues. So alpha, beta, gamma and delta, this is the nomenclature you have to give. So for alpha position, there is one ring residue. This one is the ring residue. For beta, there is a substituent, and it is the OS substituent. So for beta, you will get OS substituent. For the gamma, there is no substituent. At the delta position, you will get one ring residue. So for enone systems, you have to add according to their positions. So we have to see first the positions, and then as per the positions you have to give the increments. So for alpha position, one ring residue. So ring residue at alpha position, you have to add 10 nanometer. This one is the 10 nanometer. For beta, one OS substituent is there. So one OS substituent at the beta position, and the value is 30 nanometer for the OS substituent. For delta, that is you have to add 18 nanometer, one ring residue. So 18 nanometer for delta position. Now there is another important thing, and students always miss this point. They don't get idea about this because the homodiene component is here. You can see the ring A and B, and the homodiene component means what? Two conjugated double bonds. So two conjugated double bonds present in the same ring, that is called as homodiene component. So in the ring B, diene system is there, and in the same ring there is presence of these two double bonds, conjugated double bonds, and that's why there is one homodiene component. And for the one homodiene component you have to add 39. If there is a two homodiene component, then you have to add 2 times 39. So here, as there is only one homodiene component, so for one homodiene component you have to add 39 nanometer. Then another thing, that is you have to look for the exocyclic double bond. Exocyclic double bond is present in this conjugated system. You have to see carefully all these things. So first we will see the ring A. Now this carbonyl group is there, okay, but we will not consider as exocyclic double bond. We will only consider the carbon carbon double bond and not the carbonyl double bond. We will consider only the carbon carbon. So for this ring A, you will get this particular bond as a exocyclic double bond, carbon carbon double bond. It is outside the ring and directly attached to the ring A, and it is a part of the conjugation. Therefore there is a presence of one exocyclic double bond with respect to ring A. With respect to ring B, you cannot get here double bond. There is presence of only single bonds, and therefore with respect to ring B there is no exocyclic double bond. With respect to ring A, there is presence of one exocyclic carbon carbon double bond, and we will not consider this carbonyl group as a exocyclic double bond. So this point you have to remember. After this, these are the increments that we have to add to the base value. So extra double bond 30 nanometer, ring residue at alpha position 10, ring residue at delta position, that is 1 for 1, 18 nanometer, OH substituent at beta position 30 nanometer, and homodiene component 1 present, so 39 nanometer, and for one exocyclic double bond you have to add 5 nanometer. So after the addition you will get this 347 value, which is the lambda max value. So lambda max value is here 347 nanometer for the compound. So I have taken here only 4 examples, 2 of the diene and 2 of the enones, but there are various examples given in the books, and if you solve these examples problems, then it becomes very easy to solve the problems if you understand the Woodward-Fieser rules very clearly. If your concepts are clear, if you are mastering these rules, then you can easily solve any problem. So these problems are not difficult, but are very easy if you are mastering these rules. So see these rules carefully, understand the concepts and terms involved in these rules, then try to solve many problems given in the book. Then it becomes very easy, and in exam you can easily get full marks, out of out marks for these problems.